Welcome back to Calling in the Dark, the show where I read scary stories to my friends on the internet. Welcome back, Chowder.
Hello.
This is your third time on the show, man. I'm getting
First time
tired of you.
solo.
Fuck you. Just kidding.
Oh, that's why we did a solo so you can talk shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
All right. So the story I got for you today is called I Found a Book That Does Not Exist.
Huh.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. So it was written by Avatar of Horror. So let's get into this. Let's do this.
How do you know who it's from if it doesn't exist?
Well, the book doesn't exist. Doesn't mean the story doesn't exist.
Hmm.
But
Okay, I'll play
then
your
if the book
games.
but if the book didn't exist,
How can I have an author?
then how can you find it and tell this story? Huh.
I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find. I hope it's not one of those ones where it just ends abruptly and we get like no answers. I hope this one isn't too much of a mind fuck either. So
Oh, I hope it is.
without further ado, let's go. It says, I found a book that does not exist. It cannot exist because if it does, it means I've gone mad. I love books. I always have since I could learn to read at a young age. People think books contain just words, but they don't. They could contain creation and life. What someone writes puts pen to paper. It becomes real in a sense. When somebody reads those words, when somebody reads those words, imagines in their mind what the author says. Is that not creation? To write is to create, and to read is to experience. And I care no desire to experience all that writers create. And I care no desire to experience all that writers create. To describe myself as socially awkward would be an understatement. Same here, buddy. Same here.
Like, did you write this?
I might have. What connection I could never experience. What connection I could never experience with people. I could always find in a book. That's how I am with anime. I don't like reading much, but anime is where it's at. I was a vicarious reader, and it became the only thing I truly loved. It perhaps came as no surprise that that I gravitated to becoming a librarian, where I could be with my beloved books all day. See, you gotta do what you love, man. I like this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
I like this guy quite a bit. I gained employment at Boston Public Library shortly out of college. It is a wonderful place, an institution being one of the oldest libraries in the country, where I found my home through was in the sub basement floors, a role few fought me for, row upon row, stack upon stack, and old priceless books from around the world at a time exist here.
It's the area where they have the books there, like that they just got in or something that's not cataloged yet or something, like older books, things that they're freezing out, right? That kind of that spot in the
Yeah,
library.
I think so.
Okay, okay.
Where I found my home was through the sub basement floors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because like that's where, yeah. Okay,
yep.
okay.
The smell of old books greeted me every morning, the smell of knowledge and creation, and time was a scent few enjoyed but myself.
Yeah, the
We had,
musty air.
I know, I do like the smell of new books, but old books, old musty
I don't
books,
know. There's
I don't
something
know.
like about vintage books. Like you can just smell them. Like I have a few old books here, and like
Mm-hmm.
they have a certain smell. They are kind of unique. It's not bad, not a bad smell.
Mm. Cool, cool.
Yeah, not too musky.
Does it smell like a museum? Museums have a certain smell.
Not like a museum. Well, I don't know. I can't even describe it. It is a little musky, but it's not like
In a bad
overwhelming.
way.
But I feel like in that sub basement he's talking about, I feel like that's too much. You know, like you
Okay.
just get one book and just smell like, okay, cool. But like the whole place smelling like that, it's like
Yeah.
it'd be overbearing. It'd be too much.
Yep. I could kind of picture it, the smell in my head.
Yeah.
We had recently received a batch of very old and unidentified books from an anonymous donor that I was tasked with cataloging. The box that arrived that the box that arrived was an ornate and baroque in style. with a thick layer of dust and grime caking the outside. It had no discernible writings, and other than an air of gaudiness was unremarkable. When I opened it up, there was 12 thick leather-bound tomes inside, and I dived into finding out what works lay inside. Though it may not be a surprise to some, librarians are professional researchers. Most of the books were easily identifiable with a little work and were occult in nature. Titles such as Malleus Maleficarium.
Yeah, who doesn't know that work?
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Less secrets. Fuck, a lot of these are what I'm guessing is French, and I'm fucking atrocious at pronouncing that shit.
Ah, un lait de fromage.
Yeah, except for that. Everybody's upset about that one. Merveilleux de la magie naturelle du petit fuck.
Mais you petite.
I have a friend named Pubes who knows French, and he would kick my ass if he heard me pronouncing this.
Oh, he'll be watching.
Yeah, yeah. And the Nigromancia were present along the other Hermetic texts. Every one of them was priceless and in pristine condition. I admit I was beyond giddy and excited in identifying these texts, such as such works were rare in the extreme. One of the books eluded identification, though. Its pages were thick and brittle with varying languages, varying from Latin and Greek to what looked like Aramaic and other writings I could not identify. Like the other pieces of the collection, the text inside was intermixed with various drawings and sketches of glyphs and sigils for some unknowable rites. The book fascinated me as I worked to analyze it, wishing I could read its words. When I spoke with my boss about the treasures, she seemed less than enthused, and asked that I simply catalog them to the library's collection and move on. I asked who donated the works, and my boss shrugged and said it was apparently some heir who received it and wanted nothing to do with it. Then I, t- then I told of the undefined book, and she hand waved me away, saying not to waste too much time on it. What a bitch! I hate bosses like that, man. Like, just get back to
And
work. I don't care about what it is you're doing. I called colleagues at the Rittman Library in Amsterdam, which had a considerable occult collection, but no one could assist me in identifying the book. They told me whatever I had in possession was not known to them. I tried to translate some of the more recognizable Latin and Greek texts, but what came out was garbled and it didn't make sense. And I pored over and I stared at the book for endless hours. It was late the other night. I had left. It was late the other night. I had left to grab a hot cup of tea and try anew. I left the book open to a page that had a pictograph of a door and some unrecognizable text around it. When I sat back down, something caught my eye. A portion of the text was no longer gibberish, it was in English. I shook my head and I blinked my eyes, attributing the sight to the late hour, but there it was. More text on the page now read in English. I flipped the page back and forth, and all the other pages still remained in their original languages. But this one was now readable to me. Ooh, all right, it's picking up. It's picking up.
okay, all right, let's see where this goes.
The door picture was not really a door, but simply my best description of it. The drawing was of a dark, arc shape, of a dark arched shape with a singular point of light beyond, as if out in an infinite space. I leaned in and read the newly legible words on the page out loud. That where the light shines shall be devoured by the darkness. I looked back at the drawing of the speck of light in the infinite darkness. The light in the drawing then began to illuminate in reality. I stood up and shot backward, staring at the now glowing page. The speck of light had become an orb. I should have looked away, but I didn't. I couldn't, as if I was mesmerized and drawn
Memorized.
to it. Yeah, mesmerized. There you go. As I stared, the light enveloped me as if me as I was cast through it. At the end of the cascade of brilliant illumination, illumination, I was in a place of darkness. Looking around, the library was gone. What surrounded me were shapes and spaces my mind could not process. Grimy lichen covered rocky features and brickish water formations were around me in every direction. Light and stars had no point of origin that had no point of origin floated around me. The non-Elucidian nature brought me to my knees in panic and despair as I retched. There was no sky, no ground to speak of. Perhaps I was up or down. Neither made any more sense than the other. As the strange reality churned and moved in incomprehensible ways, something appeared in front of me. It was amorphous, and it was larger than a skyscraper and similar and smaller than my hand all at once. There was a single point of light on it though, and it stared at me as much as things can be described. The light focused on me. It bore through me and my very being. I swear to you now that there was a hunger there, a malevolence in that light that pains me to even recall. In a moment, it turned its gaze from me. It turned away and disappeared as if it had taken what it needed from me. The kaleidoscopic reality then swirled again in front of me as the impossible space molded to a single point of darkness. I blinked and I was back in my chair in the basement of the library. The book on the table was gone. I searched around everywhere, but it was gone. When my boss found me the next morning, I was on the floor, my knees to my chest cowering. I told her everything about the book, about the unreality, and I cried, gibbering on. She tried to calm me as best as possible. She told me again and again in the most comforting tone possible that
Get
there
back
was
to
only.
work.
Imagine back to work, slave. Oh fuck! You ruined it. You ruined it.
Sorry, I just had to.
I know. Oh fuck. There's literally one more sentence left. And you
Okay, my bad, my
fucking
bad, my bad.
Oh fuck.
Okay,
She
here
told
you
me
go.
again and again in the most comforting tone possible. There were only 11 books donated to the library, and this 12th one could not have existed. Ooh, dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so although earlier this person had gone to the boss and was like, "Yo, this book, what did you do with it? Where's it from?" Apparently that never happened or it never existed.
Yeah, I don't think he ever or the main character ever really mentioned the number of books that there were.
Ah,
So
okay. Yeah.
yeah, so I think he was like, hey, there's among the books that were donated, there was this weird one in there. I don't know what
Could
it
it
is, and she
have
was like,
been
shoo shoo.
could it have been kind of like the same situation as when it comes to when archaeologists were discovering the tombs, you know, in the pyramids,
Mm,
how it's like dead musky air. You know, it's basically it can become kind of moldy and toxic where
yeah,
people hallucinate. Could it just been like a set of books with some like old dust or whatever that whenever he touched and I don't know, maybe he breathed the fumes and he opened the book
yeah.
and hallucinated?
I mean, that would explain what he saw, right? All the
Yeah, tripping
trippiness
balls,
going
man.
on and stuff, but it wouldn't really explain the whole imagining that book, you know?
In the beginning. True.
Yeah,
True. Well, it did happen when he opened the box. All this happened when he opened the box. That musky air in that box.
true, true. But
Just opened it and hallucination.
but to have a vision or like a hallucination that strong to where you come up with a whole scenario of like finding this book and like opening it up and like seeing all the different languages and shit.
True.
it makes sense, right? Because like all the languages are like in there that he tried to translate was like gibberish, right? So it would make sense in that
Well, he even said
aspect,
even
but
the Latin was gibberish.
yeah,
Like it
but he
was
wasn't
clearly
able to
Latin,
translate. Yeah,
but it never translated. And then he went for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something, came back, and all of a
yeah,
sudden now it's legible in English. Like, wait, what?
yeah.
Hmm.
So illusion, maybe, maybe. Interesting story though. I did like it. You had me hooked. I thought
Yeah,
it was
no,
gonna
definitely.
continue more. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like this book is from the future or something. But that was
Nah,
interesting though.
I didn't see it going to the future, but it just disappearing. I don't know how I didn't expect that. Like, looking back at it, it this kind of seemed like okay, he was gonna go either go insane
Hmm.
or the book was gonna disappear. But I didn't know that, like now that I'm looking back at this, it actually happened. Like I just didn't think it would. I was trying to see if I was gonna go somewhere else, but it literally went. Not that the person went insane, but the book did disappear, and he is
Yeah.
kind of like, where did the book go? I'm craving more of this, basically. Like whatever happened to the book? Like I got I got to show somebody else about this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we knew already the book was gonna disappear just from the title alone. You already know. You already know. But yeah,
Yeah.
not a bad story. I honestly, if I was to rate it, I would give it 6 out of 10.
Info rating. I'd probably go with, I don't know, maybe, yeah, like maybe a 5.5, maybe a 6,
Maybe a
around
6.
there.
Yeah,
Same range.
yeah. I enjoyed it. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Chatter, thanks for being on the show
Of
again.
course.
Appreciate you, brother. And I'll see you guys in the next one.